Good evening, welcome to our headlines. I'm Maria Rodriguez Abalde. After 25 years of negotiations, the European Union and the Southern Common Market, commonly known as Mercosur, signed a free trade and cooperation agreement. If ratified, it will create a market of nearly 800 million citizens, reduce consumer prices, and boost investments. We have with us from Portugal, Jorge Costa, International and Economic Affairs expert, and from France, Pascual Lima, Economy expert. Thanks for joining us. Mr. Costa, if this agreement is ratified, is a good agreement for European Union?
Yes, clearly it's a good agreement for the European Union. Like any agreement this broad, there are some sectors that will benefit more than others. The discussion will take place in the coming months around that. I think after 25 years, we all know more or less which sectors are going to benefit from it. And in general, investment and trade, as you mentioned, are going to increase significantly. And for Europe, this is also very important in geopolitical terms. This said, it is to expect that some sectors, namely the agricultural sector, will fight back because they feel that competition from South American producers, apart from all the requirements and bureaucracy and requirements that the European Union puts on agriculture, that they will face a significant competition that will make European products less competitive. There's nothing new here, but yes, the discussion is very likely to be the one that we are seeing now on the TVs all over Europe.
Mr. Lima, this kind of agreements seek to compete with China, but we can say also with BRICS?
Yes, it's one way effectively to fight against the geopolitical competition because we have a new market now with Mercosur for Europe. And of course, we can consider it as a way to exchange our power in the agricultural market, but above all in the industrial market, because it's the industrial market which is very important for European, because as we know, we have a surplus in relation with Mercosur and the industry, but it's not the case in agriculture. So it's an opportunity effectively to have better economic power in industry, also a little bit in agriculture, but I think that the main things is on the industry.
Anyways, it's not going to be so easy because, Mr. Costa, France Senate has voted to reject the Mercosur free trade agreement. Why do you think it's going to be that?
Well, it's like in space, it's a little bit the same reason. We have 5 reasons. It's unfair competition for farmers. In this, French agriculture organization argue that the agreement allows the import of products for Mercosur countries that don't meet the European Union's strict environment, safety, and labor standards. That's the first reason. The second one is that farmers fear that an influx of cheaper imports will undercut local production, threatening the livelihoods of small-scale and family-run farms. That's the second reason. And of course, protesters, like in Spain, it's a little bit the same in Madrid and in France, believe that the deal undermines the European Union commitment to sustainability by permitting products from regions where deforestation, less regulated pesticide use, and lower labor standards are prevalent. So we have a real problem of food security and quality, and a little bit a lack of transparency too.
Yeah, Mr. Lima, France, Austria, and Poland have stated that they oppose the agreement, but they will need another large country to reject the agreement at the European Council. Italy could join them. Do you think that it will happen?
Yes, I think that it will happen. Italy could join because we will have 35% of the population, of the European population. We can be considered at qualified majority to stop the operational implementation of this agreement, because the treaties are collective for countries that have a competitive advantages in agriculture, because we must know that the importation from Mercosur are very high, and that's the main problem in relation with the industry. So we have countries that have advantages, competitive advantages in agriculture. And of course, they want to stop the agreement because of competition for farmers, because of standard disparity, and a lot of, finally, economic pressure. I think that we will have not this agreement because I think that Italy is a little bit ambiguous because Italy has also competitive advantages in the industry. So the Italian industrial sector is in favor of the agreement, but not the agriculture sector. That's the main problem. But I think that the agreement will be stopped.
Anyways, Mr. Costa, the relations between France and Italy right now are not the best, so it will be possible both of them together against this agreement.
I don't think that's going to happen, to be fair. For a very simple reason. First, because the Italian political system does not depend as much as the French one does on the votes, on electoral circuits, electoral conscriptions that they actually make almost 1/3 of the Parliament of France dependent on agricultural vote. That does not happen in Italy. First, secondly, the sectors that are the dynamic sectors in Italy, which are actually the backbone of the political parties that are now in power in France, in Italy. Sorry, they are the northern ones, and they have very significant vested interests on industry. But the most important thing, in my opinion, is that it is, apart from all these formalities, it's important to remember that Europe spent, in 2018, we spent almost 40% of our overall European budget on the common agricultural policy. That has been reduced significantly. This year, it will be around 23.5%. And that's one of the reasons why the agricultural sector is already unhappy. But the future of Europe, let's be clear, is not the agriculture. In the same way that it was not textile or other manufacturing sectors. Those sectors delocalized for a reason, because in other places it is possible to produce the goods in more competitive terms. So the same is going to happen with agriculture, and it is necessary that Europe, and I think the European Union understood, the European Commission understood that we give a step in the right direction. Obviously, this is going to be gradual. Obviously, there's not going to be a rupture, but this step needs to be done. We cannot want the things that the Draghi report says that we need to do in order to move forward and be competitive and for our companies to be competitive at the world stage, and at the same time spend a huge amount of our budget in agriculture. It does not make sense. This has to change.
But anyways, many farmers believe that the 3D could devastate Europeans' agriculture sector and bring about unfair competitions. Are they right?
Well, there are courts for that. Let's go to court. Let's see. That's what is going to happen, both in the European Court and the World Trade Organization court. I don't think that the European Commission has done any major step. We are discussing here if suddenly Europe is going to open completely. It's not going to be the case. The problem of this agreement is that it was publicized at a time where nobody or almost no one had seen the texts, and no one has yet had time to go through all the texts in detail. But the details that I have already seen show that there is a gradual approach, a very realistic approach. So this is all, I would say, fanfare and gunfire for mediatic purposes, and it's part of the discussion. It makes sense that it is like that, but we will need, as always, the devil will be on the details, and I don't think that the European Commission has been irrealistic.
Mr. Lima, what sectors will benefit the most with this agreement?
Well, I think that the first one is the manufacturing products industry. And then you can find, of course, Germany, which is in favor of this agreement, and all the countries that have competitive advantages in industry and in the manufacturing products, of course. You have also countries that are in favor of the liberalization, the complete liberalization of the world, the complete liberalization of the economic, which, for example, the North country in Europe, Sweden, for example, and other countries from the north that are completely in favor of liberalization, a total liberalization of the economy. And then you have also countries that hesitate a lot. Italy I think hesitate a little bit because it has a very ambiguous position because it has agriculture, but also an important industry, of course. And well, that's all. It depends on the competitive advantages of each country. And the main problem in Europe is that we don't have an European industry totally coherent, and we don't have only an European agricultural industry. We have the PAC, of course, but we have a lot of difference between one and other countries. That's the main problem to take a decision, not only in agriculture. So I think that all these the country that will have advantages in this industry is in favor of the agreement, because of course, as you know, European Union is in surplus in relation with Mercosur and the industry. So that's the main point, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Costa, the analysts say that the rise of protectionism exemplified by Donald Trump's re-elections push the European Union and Mercosur to act. Do you think that is right?
Yes, obviously this was a factor. I think it would be strange that suddenly, when Donald Trump is elected, suddenly the European Union and Mercosur saw the light and realized that it was high time to close the agreement. Obviously, the election of Trump to play the role. We still don't know exactly how protectionist he's going to be. I mean, what we see now are threats of tariffs, but in a way that tariffs are being weaponized. It's not clear at all if he intends to increase the tariffs, starting with U.S. main partners, which are Canada and Mexico. It seems a bit absurd. Obviously, he wants them to do something else. I don't think he wants to destroy their trade union, the free trade area that they have. And on the other hand, with Europe, I don't think that we will engage on a trade war. I think the wars that the U.S. is more concerned are more into the Asian side on the Far East. And I think that, but obviously, since we don't know for sure what's going to happen, the European stance of having free trade agreements with large economic blocs is very, in order to avoid dependence both from China and from the United States, is very important. And obviously, this is a first step. I believe it's going to continue with other economic blocs.
Mm-hmm. Also, Mr. Lima, moreover, the new European Commission, which took office on December 1st, wanted to start its mandate by delivering quick results. Are you agree with this analysis?
Well, it's difficult because we have different opinion in Europe and a lot of difficulties to have only one voice in Europe. So the European Commission sometimes take decisions that are unilateral. And of course, there is a democratic process in the parliament, of course, but in the European Commission, sometimes they need to hear a little bit what said agriculture people and the industry, their competitive advantages, and to create the future. Because as you know, the agricultural sector is totally Uberized too, thanks to new technologies, etc. And this has a lot of impact in the future of jobs of the agriculture people. And I think that we have to have a big concern about that, about the future of work in agriculture, above all, because they have a big movement of Uberization too. So the European Commission don't take into account this fact. It's a very important fact, concrete fact. And I think that we will have to progress in this direction.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see the next step, and if this agreement will take place, thanks to both of you, Mr. Costa and Mr. Lima, and keep watching ANewz for the latest news. We wish you a good evening ahead.